Now let me tell you something, and I want you to really hear me when I say this. A lot of people think men value money the most, or beauty the most, or status the most. But after years of talking to men, being a man, and listening to thousands of stories about relationships, I can tell you the truth is much simpler than that. Men value one thing more than anything else, and that one thing is how you make them feel when they are around you. One thing many people misunderstand about men is the idea that they value what comes easily. In reality, most men place the highest value on things that feel earned. When something is handed to a man without effort, struggle, or patience, it often loses its meaning very quickly. This is not because men are ungrateful, but because the male mindset is deeply connected to the idea of challenge and achievement. From a young age, men are conditioned to chase goals, to compete, to work hard for recognition, and to measure value through effort. Because of this, when something meaningful enters a man's life without any challenge or investment, he may enjoy it for a moment, but it rarely holds the same weight as something he had to fight for. When a man works towards something, whether it is success, respect, or even love, he attaches a deeper emotional connection to it. The time he spends thinking about it, the energy he invests, and the obstacles he faces all build a sense of ownership and pride. That process makes the reward feel more valuable. It is similar to how people value a house they worked years to buy more than something that was simply given to them without effort. The journey becomes part of the value itself. In relationships, this principle shows up in subtle but powerful ways. When a man feels that he must grow, improve, and step up to earn the place he holds in a woman's life, it activates a sense of purpose. He begins to feel responsible for protecting that position and maintaining the effort he put in to reach it. However, if everything is instantly available to him without emotional investment or commitment, the relationship can begin to feel less meaningful in his mind. The absence of effort removes the sense of accomplishment that naturally builds attachment. This does not mean a woman should play games or manipulate situations to create artificial difficulty. What it really means is that a man values relationships where there is balance, where both people bring standards, expectations, and personal self-respect into the connection. When a woman respects herself, values her time, and does not give away her attention or energy too quickly, it naturally creates a dynamic where a man feels he must show effort and sincerity. That effort is what builds his emotional investment. Men are also very aware of the difference between something that is freely offered to everyone and something that is rare and meaningful. When a man feels that he has earned a woman's trust, affection, and loyalty over time, he often sees those things as precious. The more meaningful the journey, the stronger the emotional bond becomes. Effort creates memory, and memory creates attachment. Another important part of this idea is respect for the process. When a man is allowed to grow into the relationship rather than simply being handed everything immediately, he becomes more engaged. He begins to feel that his actions matter and that his presence has purpose. This feeling of purpose is incredibly powerful for men because it connects directly to their sense of identity and pride. At the same time, when a man experiences appreciation for the effort he makes, the value grows even stronger. Recognition reinforces the idea that his investment is meaningful. It encourages him to continue putting energy into the relationship and to keep improving himself. In many ways, effort acts like emotional glue. The more meaningful effort a man puts into something, the harder it becomes for him to walk away from it. The time, thought, and work he invested remind him that the connection is important and worth protecting. That is why things that feel earned often hold the greatest value in a man's life. A lot of people misunderstand what men truly want in a relationship. They assume men are always looking for excitement, constant attention, or endless emotional intensity. But the truth is much simpler and much deeper than that. One of the most valuable things a man looks for is peace. Peace is something that becomes more important to a man as he moves through life and faces responsibilities, pressure, and expectations from the world around him. Every day, a man is dealing with challenges, whether it is work, financial stress, competition, or the pressure to succeed and provide. Because of this constant weight on his shoulders, the place he values the most is the place where he can breathe, relax, and feel calm. When a relationship becomes filled with constant arguments, emotional tension, and unnecessary drama, it slowly begins to drain a man's energy. At first, he may try to fix things. He may try to explain himself, compromise, or make changes. But if the environment continues to feel chaotic and emotionally exhausting, something inside him begins to shift. He starts associating the relationship with stress instead of comfort. Over time, this can cause him to pull away emotionally, not because he no longer cares, but because he feels overwhelmed by the constant conflict. Peace does not mean silence or the absence of disagreement. Every healthy relationship has differences in opinion and moments of frustration. Peace simply means that the relationship does not feel like a battlefield every day. It means that even when problems arise, both people approach them with respect, understanding, and a willingness to solve the issue rather than win the argument. When a man feels that he can express himself without being attacked or constantly criticized, he becomes more open and more emotionally present. For many men, peace is deeply connected to emotional safety. A man wants to feel that when he comes home or speaks to the woman in his life, he will not immediately face judgment, anger, or negativity. Instead, he hopes to feel understood and supported. This feeling allows him to lower the emotional guard he often carries in the outside world. It gives him a space where he does not have to prove himself every second. When a woman creates a peaceful emotional environment, a man naturally becomes more devoted to that relationship. He begins to see it as a refuge from the chaos of the outside world. This does not mean that the woman must suppress her feelings or ignore problems. It simply means that the relationship is built on calm communication rather than constant emotional storms. Peace also encourages growth. When a man feels calm and supported, he has more mental energy to focus on improving himself and strengthening the relationship. Stress and drama, on the other hand, consume emotional energy that could have been used for progress and connection. A peaceful relationship allows both people to focus on building something meaningful together rather than constantly repairing damage caused by conflict. Another important aspect of peace is consistency. When a man feels that the emotional atmosphere of the relationship is stable and predictable, he begins to trust it more deeply. He does not feel like he has to constantly prepare for sudden emotional explosions or unexpected tension. That stability builds comfort, and comfort builds long-term attachment. For many men, peace is not just a preference, it becomes a necessity. After dealing with the pressures of the world, the last thing he wants is to feel like the person closest to him is another source of stress. When a man finds a relationship that brings him calm instead of chaos, it becomes something he values deeply and wants to protect. Loyalty and genuine support are two things that hold tremendous value in a man's heart, even if he does not always talk about them openly. Many men grow up learning to hide their emotions and carry their struggles quietly. Society often teaches men that they must be strong, independent, and capable of handling problems without showing vulnerability. Because of this, when a man finally allows someone into his emotional world, loyalty becomes incredibly important to him. It represents safety, trust, and the reassurance that the person beside him will remain there even when life becomes difficult. A man does not simply want someone to stand with him when everything is going well. Anyone can celebrate during success, enjoy the good moments, and smile when life feels easy. What truly matters to him is knowing that the woman in his life will remain supportive during the uncertain times as well. When challenges appear, when plans fail, or when he faces setbacks, loyalty becomes the foundation that keeps the relationship strong. It shows him that the connection is not based only on convenience or temporary happiness, but on a deeper commitment. Genuine support also means believing in him when he may be struggling to believe in himself. Every man experiences moments of doubt. There are times when he questions his abilities, his decisions, or his direction in life. During those moments, the encouragement of someone he trusts can have a powerful impact. When a woman reminds him of his strengths and stands beside him with confidence in his potential, it can restore motivation that he may have temporarily lost. Support does not always require grand gestures or dramatic speeches. Often it appears in small but meaningful actions. Listening when he talks about his worries, showing patience when he is under pressure, and offering understanding rather than criticism can make a huge difference. These simple forms of support communicate something very important to him, that he is not facing the world alone. Loyalty also creates emotional security. When a man feels confident that the person he loves is truly on his side, he becomes more open and more willing to invest emotionally in the relationship. He does not feel the need to constantly guard himself or question the stability of the connection. That sense of security allows deeper trust to grow between both partners. Another important aspect of loyalty is consistency. Words can be comforting, but consistent actions are what truly build trust over time. When a woman repeatedly shows that she stands by her man, even when situations are difficult, he begins to understand that her support is real. That reliability strengthens the emotional bond between them and increases the value he places on the relationship. Men often express their appreciation for loyalty not only through words, but through their actions. When a man recognizes that someone has stood by him faithfully, he often feels a strong desire to protect that person and reciprocate the same level of commitment. Loyalty inspires responsibility in many men, encouraging them to become more dependable and more attentive in the relationship. Support and loyalty also encourage growth. When a man knows that someone believes in him and will remain beside him during the ups and downs of life, he gains confidence to pursue his goals more boldly. He feels that his efforts have meaning beyond himself because there is someone who genuinely cares about his journey. This kind of emotional partnership creates a powerful sense of unity that strengthens the relationship over time. One thing that often goes unnoticed in relationships is how deeply men value appreciation and recognition. Many men spend a large part of their lives trying to prove themselves, whether it is through their work, their responsibilities, or the roles they play for the people they care about. From a young age, men are often taught that their worth is connected to what they can accomplish, provide, or build. Because of this mindset, appreciation becomes incredibly meaningful to them. It tells them that their efforts are seen and that the things they are doing actually matter. A man may not always openly ask for appreciation, but that does not mean he does not need it. In many cases, men quietly hope that the person closest to them notices the sacrifices they make and the effort they put into the relationship. When a man works long hours, solves problems, handles responsibilities, or tries to improve the life he is building with someone, recognition of those efforts can have a powerful emotional impact. Even small words of appreciation can make him feel respected and valued. When appreciation is present in a relationship, it creates positive energy between two people. A man who feels appreciated is naturally encouraged to keep doing more. It strengthens his motivation and makes him feel proud of the role he plays in the relationship. This sense of pride often leads him to invest even more time, attention, and care into the connection. Appreciation works like emotional fuel that keeps his effort alive. On the other hand, when a man feels that his efforts go unnoticed or are constantly criticized, it can slowly affect his motivation. If everything he does is treated as something ordinary or expected without any recognition, he may begin to feel that his contributions have little value. Over time, this feeling can cause him to withdraw emotionally or reduce the amount of effort he puts into the relationship, not because he wants to stop caring, but because he feels that nothing he does makes a difference. Recognition is also connected to respect. When a woman acknowledges the work and dedication a man brings into the relationship, it signals that she sees his role and appreciates his commitment. This builds a stronger emotional bond because it reassures him that his presence is meaningful. It also shows that both partners are aware of each other's efforts and contributions. Appreciation does not have to be something dramatic or overly complicated. Sometimes it is as simple as expressing gratitude, offering encouragement, or noticing the small things that someone does every day. A sincere thank you, a compliment about his effort, or a simple acknowledgement of his hard work can stay in a man's mind much longer than people realize. These moments remind him that the energy he puts into the relationship is valued. When appreciation flows in both directions, it creates balance and harmony. Both partners feel recognized and respected, which encourages them to continue supporting each other. It reduces resentment and increases cooperation because each person understands that their efforts are meaningful. For many men, appreciation becomes one of the strongest emotional connections they experience in a relationship. When a man knows that the woman beside him genuinely recognizes his efforts and values what he brings into her life, it strengthens his loyalty and his desire to keep building something lasting together. One thing that has a powerful influence on how a man sees and values a woman is the level of respect she has for herself. Self-respect is not something that needs to be loudly announced or constantly proven through words. It is usually revealed through behavior, boundaries, and the way a person carries themselves in different situations. When a woman respects herself, it creates a quiet confidence that many men notice immediately. That confidence sends a message that she understands her worth and is not willing to accept less than what she deserves. Men often respond strongly to this kind of energy because it naturally changes the dynamic of the relationship. When a woman values herself, she does not feel the need to chase attention, beg for affection, or tolerate behavior that makes her feel small. Instead, she sets clear standards for how she wants to be treated. Those standards encourage a man to step up and meet them if he truly wants to be part of her life. Without those boundaries, it can become easy for the relationship to lose balance. Self-respect also shows in the way a woman manages her time, her emotions, and her personal choices. When a woman understands that her time is valuable, she becomes more selective about who she allows into her life and how much energy she gives to others. This does not mean she becomes cold or distant. It simply means she recognizes that her attention and care are meaningful, and she chooses to share them with people who truly appreciate them. That sense of selectiveness often increases the value a man places on the relationship. Another important aspect of self-respect is emotional independence. A woman who respects herself does not rely entirely on a man to define her happiness or her identity. She may love deeply and care strongly, but she also maintains her own sense of purpose and self-worth. This independence can be very attractive to men because it creates a relationship built on partnership rather than dependence. When both people have their own strength and identity, the connection becomes more balanced and healthy. Self-respect also affects how a woman responds to challenges or conflicts within a relationship. Instead of reacting impulsively or allowing emotions to control every situation, she tends to approach problems with clarity and dignity. She communicates what she feels and what she expects without lowering her standards or disrespecting herself in the process. This calm confidence can change how a man approaches the relationship as well, because he begins to understand that respect must exist on both sides. Men often feel more protective and committed toward a woman who clearly values herself. When a man sees that a woman takes care of her emotional well-being, maintains her dignity, and refuses to settle for less than respectful treatment, he begins to recognize her as someone worth investing in. It signals that the relationship has meaning and that being part of her life is something that must be earned and protected. Self-respect also influences how others treat a person over time. People tend to mirror the standards they see. When a woman allows disrespect, people may begin to believe that such behavior is acceptable. But when she calmly but firmly stands by her boundaries, it teaches others how they should interact with her. This creates a healthier environment where mutual respect becomes the foundation of every interaction. Another subtle but powerful part of self-respect is the ability to walk away from situations that consistently bring pain or dishonor. A woman who values herself understands that staying in an unhealthy situation can slowly damage her sense of worth. When she chooses to protect her dignity instead of tolerating continuous negativity, it demonstrates strength and maturity. Many men notice this strength and often gain deeper respect for it. Confidence that comes from self-respect is different from arrogance or pride. It does not need to put others down in order to feel strong. Instead, it quietly communicates stability and emotional maturity. This type of confidence often makes a relationship feel more secure because it reduces unnecessary jealousy, insecurity, and constant validation seeking. When a man is with a woman who genuinely respects herself, the relationship tends to feel more balanced and meaningful. He understands that her presence in his life is not something he should take for granted. That awareness often motivates him to treat the relationship with greater care and seriousness because he recognizes that someone with strong self-respect will not remain in a situation where she is not valued. One of the deepest things a man quietly searches for in a relationship is emotional safety. It is not something many men openly talk about, but it plays a huge role in how long they stay connected to someone and how deeply they allow themselves to care. From the outside, men are often expected to appear strong, confident, and in control of their emotions. Society teaches many men from a young age that showing vulnerability is a weakness, so they learn to hide a lot of what they truly feel. Because of that conditioning, when a man finally finds someone with whom he feels emotionally safe, it becomes extremely meaningful to him. Emotional safety means that a man feels he can be himself without constantly worrying about being judged, mocked, or misunderstood. It means he can share his thoughts, his worries, and even his insecurities without feeling like those things will later be used against him. Many men have experienced situations where they opened up emotionally and later regretted it because their honesty was criticized or thrown back at them during an argument. Experiences like that can make a man very cautious about expressing what he truly feels. When a woman creates emotional safety, she does something powerful without even realizing it. She gives a man permission to lower the emotional armor he carries through most of his life. That armor often exists because men spend so much time dealing with competition, pressure, and expectations in the outside world. They are expected to solve problems, carry responsibilities, and stay composed even during stressful situations. Because of this, they rarely have spaces where they can simply be open without feeling like they are being evaluated. In a relationship where emotional safety exists, a man begins to relax in ways he may not even notice at first. He becomes more honest, more communicative, and more willing to talk about things that matter to him. This openness strengthens the bond between two people because it allows deeper understanding to grow. Instead of hiding emotions or pretending everything is always fine, he begins to share parts of his inner world that he normally keeps private. Emotional safety is also closely connected to trust. When a man feels that his partner listens to him with patience and empathy rather than judgment, it encourages him to keep communicating. Over time, this builds a foundation of trust that makes the relationship stronger and more stable. He begins to feel that he does not have to constantly defend himself or protect every thought he shares. Instead, he can express his feelings knowing they will be respected. Another important aspect of emotional safety is consistency. It is not created through one-kind conversation or a single moment of understanding. It develops slowly through repeated experiences where a man sees that his vulnerability is treated with care rather than criticism. Each positive interaction reinforces the idea that the relationship is a place where honesty is safe. When emotional safety is missing, the opposite tends to happen. A man may still remain in the relationship physically, but emotionally, he begins to close himself off. He talks less about what he feels, avoids deeper conversations, and focuses only on surface-level communication. This distance often grows quietly over time because he no longer feels comfortable sharing the parts of himself that require trust. Emotional safety also allows a man to grow emotionally. When he knows that his feelings will be heard and respected, he becomes more willing to explore them rather than suppress them. This can lead to a healthier emotional connection between both partners, where communication becomes more open and understanding becomes deeper. For many men, the presence of emotional safety transforms a relationship into something much more meaningful. It becomes a place where he can remove the pressure he carries in the outside world and simply be human. That feeling of acceptance and understanding often strengthens his loyalty and attachment because he recognizes how rare it is to find a space where he can truly be himself without fear.